Okay, good day. I welcome you to the fourth DLSU Arts Congress. I'm Dr. Marlon S. Delupio from the History Department, De La Salle University. And my paper for the conference, the title is Valenzuela City COVID-19 Response. First 100 days under the Bayanihan Act. So this is the paper that I'll be presenting. It zero in on the response of a certain LGU, local government unit, and in this case, I studied the city government of Valenzuela. Okay, so for my paper abstract, Republic Act number 11469, or also known as Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, or Bayanihan Act, was signed in March 25, 2020 by the President Rodrigo Duterte. And this act became the fundamental policy of the Philippine government to combat SARS-CoV-2, or better known as COVID-19. This law authorized the president to exercise power necessary to implement urgent measures to address the pandemic in the country in the span of 3 months. The law also mandated all government units, or LGUs, to adhere to all the rules, regulations, and directives issued by the national government. Furthermore, the law enforced measures on information dissemination, public health and safety, ensuring the availability of essential goods, monitoring and checking cases like hoarding, profiteering, manipulation of prices, regulating and limiting the operation of private and public transport, moving statutory deadlines on payments of taxes, fees, and other charges required by law, and among others. The paper aims to analyze and assess how the Bayanihan Act was implemented and put into operation in the city of Valenzuela. The study will identify concrete measures and policy formulations uniquely taken by the city government to conform to the national directive. The paper will use primary documents such as city ordinances, executive order by the chief executive of the city, which is the mayor, newspaper accounts, local bulletin, and official government reports. In the end, although there exists a clear general policy on addressing the national crisis on COVID-19 pandemic, each LGUs put into motion their exclusive plan of action that best suited the demands of their local constituents. So basically, that's my paper abstract. That's the overview of my paper. So I cannot discuss the whole paper because I am given only 5 to 10 minutes to present this in this audio video recording. So I'll just give you some of the basic parts. So one of which is, of course, to provide an introduction and to provide context. So you can see here, COVID-19 in the Philippines. So it's a simple timeline of the COVID-19 pandemic that happened last year. Okay, so in January 30, 2020, the first COVID-19 case was recorded in the Philippines. It involved a 38-year-old Chinese woman from Wuhan, China, who traveled to Dumaguete, Cebu, and Manila. After 3 days, a second case was recorded involving another Chinese national, a 44-year-old companion of the first victim. Both cases were treated at San Lazaro Hospital, and on February 2, 2020, the male patient died, becoming the first recorded COVID-19 fatality outside of China. On the other hand, the Department of Health, or DOH, recorded the first case of local community transmission of the virus on March 6, 2020. It involved a 62-year-old Filipino male from Cainta, Rizal. He and his 59-year-old wife died on March 11, 2020. On March 7, the DOH raised its code red to sub-level 1 and submitted recommendation to the president to impose a public health emergency. 2 days after, on March 9, President Rodrigo Duterte issued proclamation number 922, placing the country under a state of public health emergency. The said proclamation provided directives to government agencies and LGUs to immediately act to prevent loss of life, utilize appropriate resources, to implement urgent and critical measures to contain or prevent the spread of COVID-19. Section 2 of Proclamation number 922 stated clearly the directives in the following words. All government agencies and LGUs are hereby enjoined to render full assistance and cooperation and mobilize the necessary resources to undertake critical, urgent, and appropriate response and measures in a timely manner to curtail and eliminate the COVID-19 threat. Code Red Sub-Level 2 was raised on March 12, 2020, forcing President Duterte to issue a partial lockdown in Metro Manila. The said lockdown was expanded on March 16, 2020, placing the entire Luzon under the Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ. Because of the continued increase of COVID-19 cases on March 17, President Duterte issued proclamation number 929 that declared and placed the Philippines under a state of calamity for a tentative period of 6 months. And on March 25, 2020, President Rodrigo Duterte signed into law the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, or RA 11469. Under Section 4, Part G, the LGUs were directed to follow the national government policy in addressing COVID-19. RA 11469 specifically expressed this intention in the following words. Ensure that all local government units or LGUs are acting within the letter and spirit of all the rules, regulations, and directives issued by the national government pursuant to this act. Are implementing standards of community quarantine consistent with the national government has laid down for the subject area, while allowing LGUs to continue exercising their autonomy in matters undefined by the national government, or are within the parameters it has set and are fully cooperating towards a unified, cohesive, and orderly implementation of the national policy to address COVID-19. So basically, this is the background or the context of the paper or of my study. So the next one is basically the major parts. So this is the major parts of my paper. So the first one is the initial strike, Valenzuela City precautionary measure against COVID-19. So the title is initial strike because this is prior to the proclamation of number 922. So what are the things, what are the concrete steps taken by the city government prior to the real outbreak of the pandemic? And the second part is, this is during the proclamation of 922, what are the steps, policies taken by the city government to adhere to the presidential proclamation? And the last part is what is now the condition of the city under the Bayanihan Act, or to Heal as One Act, or also known as RA 11469. So basically, this is the major parts of my paper. So in response to this one, I'm given only a short period of time. So the complete research will be published by the conference organizer. So with that, I thank you and have a nice day. Always keep safe and goodbye.